welcome to Your Soul Wisdom, hosted by Yana Amor Manocas. In each episode, we invite you on a transformative journey delving into the profound mysteries and wisdom of the soul. Join us as we explore a wide array of spiritual topics and sacred practices that nurture and heal the soul, from reincarnation and soul contracts to the enigmatic experiences of womb alchemy and astral travel. Our discussions are designed to enlighten, inspire, and deepen your understanding of your own soul's journey. With Your Soul Wisdom, nothing is off limits.
She got some this morning.
It's so
Welcome
funny.
everybody to Your Soul Wisdom. We have such a fun episode to kind of like wrap up our year, right? I mean, it's our second to last episode, but we're wrapping up the year. We are really just like in this space of like, I know for me, this year flew by and I'm ready for it to be wrapped up with a bow and go goodbye. And I'm ready to welcome in what's coming in. And so we're going to have this fun card pull, Kylie, that you're going to tell us all about. And we only want to see really good stuff. Okay.
No pressure.
Oh. Sorry, my immediate reaction to that was, myself on this one.
It's going to be a very, very short episode.
Okay. All right, we're starting out very optimistic here. So, hi everyone. Okay, I'm going to back it up here for a second. So I was sitting prior to our meeting today, pulling all the cards, doing all the prayers, meditations, everything. And I'm going to just kind of go over my experience with that. And then I'll get into the monthly. And then I'd love everyone's inputs, intuitive inputs. Rachel's, no, we're not having this happen this month. Rewriting the timeline, whatever you want. Okay.
That's Yana's job. But anyway.
Oh,
sure.
okay. All right. Well, I think you might have a little bit of that, Rachel. So during my meditation, I had two really big powerhouses come through. The first one was Lilith, and Lilith has this like kind of really serious energy, and she has a negative connotation because of biblical dogma, right? But when we break it all down, she was Adam's first wife, and she was ousted because she wasn't following the rules, right? And that's why I'm extra spicy today, because we're not following the rules. So she came in first, and then Archangel Michael came in after, and I'm like, well, why are we in the same room? Because you're not supposed to be. And then they're like, why? Why are we not? And I'm like, because we're just like dogma, right? And then they're like, no, we have a massive mutual respect for each other, and we work in tandem. So Lilith was giving me the rundown on 24, and then Archangel Michael came in with the 25 energy. So It was like really interesting to have two powerhouses polarizing against each other, but working really well, right? So I just wanted to summarize that.
Kylie, was your
Yes.
felt sense in that situation that Lilith matched Archangel Michael's energy?
You know what? I kind of sat back and I was watching these two, and I'm like, how are you in the same room? And it was just this beautiful, like, pink energy that kind of flooded the room. Like, they're here, regardless of what story was told. There's been just so much adjustments on the other side to work as a whole and to work together, which is something that we haven't seen before. There's a lot of new energies activating. There's dragon energy. There's a lot of starseed energy that is working together, not just on their own corners of the universe. Everyone's coming together to help humanity, because we're at a huge point. And I don't want to say breaking point, because it's really not a breaking point. This will go on. But it is just this duality of we are here to help, and we shouldn't be doing it from our corners. That was the theme that I got, which was really cool. So I hope that answered your question, Rachel.
Thanks, kind of.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate? Because I'm.
No. What I'm getting from you is that they're different types of energy, and it wasn't that kind of thing.
Yeah, but they
But what it was
merged
is a
in a
beautiful collaboration. Yeah.
exactly. So for whatever it's worth, that's what happened. I did take notes. Look at me, pages and pages of notes.
Wow.
This is serious.
It's serious business. I take this seriously.
But I want to say something though. The energy right now feels very serious. Like you better pay attention and like get in line. Like soldier up, we're going. That's my body right now. The way I feel physically, it's like, okay, like we're like you sign up, let's go.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the Lilith energy is. So while it might be, we typically have these light and fluffy sessions and podcasts, right? But like, I'm not fucking around today. Like we're here. We've received, each of us, especially on this panel, have received the call and we are fucking answering that call, right? So this is our putting it on speaker now. Does that make sense? Because I was told that this was very important to reach our corner to unify. So there's other people out there who are having similar messages, but they're in their own corners, in their own tribes, in their own communities, and they're doing that. So, okay, are we ready?
Let's go.
Yes.
So, 2024, I know. Do we need to activate some numbers or something up in here? Do I need to sit on some 3s, 6s, something?
You got way enough 3s, babe. You never need to sit on a 3.
That's true. Okay, I did make notes. Okay, so maybe I should start with, so I am using a deck of tarot cards called the Wandering Star. Very pretty. I'm also backing them up with my favorite tarot deck, the Fairy Tarot by Doreen Virtue, but we don't talk about Doreen. So it is the one that we do not speak of, and Radley Valentine, because, you know, she doesn't do these demonic cards anymore, apparently.
No.
2024, I had the Two of Swords, the Sun and the Hermit. The Sun and the Hermit are major arcana are major destiny events and cards. So they're significant because 24 was very much, the overall theme was unveiling. So there was a lot of truths coming to light. This is in a global aspect. So if you resonate with it in a personal level, absolutely. But when you think of a global level, there was a lot of truth come to light about certain wars, motivations around those wars, political leaders getting throaty talking about that.
Throat chakra.
Yep. Just a lot of celebrity stuff going on, a lot of weird planet alignments that haven't been here for centuries, hundreds of years, whatnot. There was just a lot of things coming to light. So, Two of Swords is it's a decision. It's that armoring up. It's the two swords you're ready to battle. Okay, so visualize if you are in a spiritual space and you are embodying your true authentic self, you get to armor up with your two spiritual swords, your archangel swords, your swords ready to just go in, have protection, but also be aware that there is not a battle, because I don't like the word battle in this sense, but it's more of just you're ready and you're aware and your blinders are off. This is what 24 was kind of bringing in. Now, the Sun and the Hermit are interesting because the Sun tarot is around walking freely in the sun, right? And in a symbolic sense, that's a beautiful message. We were revealing our truth, our inner light, our inner sun, right? And we came to that point because we're coming out of our hermit era. When COVID hit, we were very much inside. We are now coming to that point where a lot of us, I'm not saying everyone, a lot of us are like very nonchalant about certain things. We're like, we're going to live our life now. We're going to go out in the sun. So we're very much releasing that hermit part of the beginning of the year, coming into the sun. And now we're like, oh, great. the sun's out and it's beautiful, but now I'm overwhelmed with all this shit that I'm seeing for the first time because my blinders are off, my swords are up now, because now I get to address things in a global level. Okay? So light and fluffy for you, Rachel.
Can't help but make this all personal, I'm telling you. I can't even extend it out into global at the moment. But yeah,
Right.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was the 24th. So I'd love to hear. You are right about the personal. It bleeds into the personal, of course. So I think that if you reflect back, you can definitely see, we came into, there was a lot of tension, like global tension at the beginning of the year. Like I think of Ukraine, I think of Israel, I think Palestine, I think of unknowns in a political circle as well. And I'm not trying to get too political, but I'm just saying that really affects everything, right?
Yeah.
Because tinfoil hat at the moment, everything has an agenda, right?
Yeah.
Where is that agenda coming from? Well, world leaders, where does that come from? Right? They have to find a place where that comes from. Even if it's a meeting point amongst themselves, is there someone orchestrating? But you know what I mean? Like it has to stem from something. There's an original point. And at the end of the day, it always goes back to energy.
Yeah. And I think too, like on a personal level, I think the country, at least in the States, right? I can only reference where I'm living. In the beginning of the year was still very divided. And I will say, like, even like the middle, like, there was lots of division. But what I did notice throughout the year was people being able to, for the first time in many years, put aside, I don't give a shit who you vote for. I don't give a shit like what you stand for, all that. We can come together and love each other and have mutual respect and work together without allowing these personal differences to rip us apart. So I did notice that gap coming together. And it's very interesting. You started with Lilith and Archangel Michael, how we view them as so different, yet they're coming together and they're like, we're here to work together.
That's right.
So that shift, that energetic shift, I have personally felt it with people in my everyday life, my community, people who I engage with all the time. So I just love how you can feel that shift, but you were also, for me, I was very aware while it was happening. Very aware while it was happening. And that whole true thing, it's on a global scale, but also like, I'm sure every single one of us have had experiences this year where we're like, our eyes were open to people, places, and things where we're like, the truth of this situation and what it uncovered and how it played out to blow your mind.
Right. And what's interesting is like I see the drone story, right? The December drone story in the US, right? I don't know if anyone's up with it, but there have been countless number of drones seen in the air, right? But at the end of the day, people are like, oh, it's aliens. But now they're like, oh, it's government's aware of this. Hang on, what is this distracting us from? Like I'm seeing this thought process. Before, people would go into a fear space and be like, oh my God, it's North Korea. It's the aliens, right? And then, but now everyone's not even going there. They're like, what are we being distracted from?
Yeah, I think everyone is they're seeing things and they're not just accepting the story. There is more to this. And I think it's more than, it's actually like you feel it in your bones. It's not even like a conceptual, oh, maybe it's like, I know there's more to this, right?
Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've ever experienced that as a collective before.
No.
Until very recently. Okay. Any thoughts, questions, concerns about 24?
No, but I wanted to add though, Amanda, I don't know if you remember in one of my Lightbody sessions, I pulled out 2 swords from my shoulders.
Yeah, correct. Correct. 100%. I won't forget that.
Swords have come up a lot for me
because
this
I
year
had
too.
seen it as well.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'd seen it.
Interesting.
And we'd both seen it at the same time. But yeah, 2024.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was. 2024 to me has kind of felt like one of those years. It's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? It has been about uncovering the truth of things. So there's been things that's happened that I've kind of thought to myself, how did I not see that? How did I not notice that? The red flags were flagging. Do you know what I mean? And like just before coming on, you know,
the red flags were flagging.
Make that note
that.
as another Amanda saying.
You know, and I found myself before coming on thinking about like the year and what it actually means, what it has meant to some, in like a sort of like a sentence, you know, what's 2024 mean? What has it summed up for you? And it kind of felt like, although some amazing things have happened, like obviously for me, like joining the podcast and like everything like that, it kind of felt like, though, for the most part, the year for me was kind of like, it's really weird. It's like putting out the trash.
Ooh.
Do you know what I mean? It really felt like that, you know? You know, it sort of felt like, you know, I've got this thing with bins, ha ha ha. You know, but you know, but it kind of felt like, you know, the night before bin day, you sort of clean out the fridge and everything. You know, you make sure you clean out all the cupboards, whatever doesn't need it, whatever's got to go. So that's what it's been felt. That's what it's felt like. You clean out in order to make way for all the new stuff, all the new goodies and foodies that you're going to get. But it really has been like taking out the trash. And I think I'm at that stage. I don't know whether or not it's age as well, that I just think to myself, you know, I don't want anything in my life that is not authentic, or if not in a sense of the sort of like highest frequency. So, you know, if you're coming around me with any kind of like trash or lower thing, then yeah.
I love it. You know, what's interesting too
All
is
in the
that
bin
so
then.
I'm on social media a little bit, and I noticed the trend beginning of the year was like, what's my haul? What's in my handbag? Let's restock my handbag. And I was obsessed with these women carrying around like bricks in their handbag, right? And then towards the end of the year, everyone's like, oh no, we're in our minimalist year and consumerism is a huge problem. And I'm in debt now because I stocked my handbag, right? And I'm like, welcome to the party, but how refreshing is that? Let's unload your freaking stuff out of your handbag.
But you know, there's a game that people play at parties whereby, well, no, they play at events whereby
baby showers.
You know, for women, is it baby showers whereby whereby everybody stands up and then like the caller or the whoever's doing it will say, does anybody have, say, a toothbrush? And so you have to present the toothbrush from your handbag, because, you know, loads of people walk around with toothbrushes in their handbag. So everybody who doesn't have it sits down. So they just go around like that until the end, until somebody doesn't, until you come up with the winner.
We know how to party, Amanda. Like, seriously, what? You guys are all jealous you don't get
I haven't been to a party like that.
Oh,
no,
you haven't
me
lived.
neither.
You haven't lived.
I know it's Kylie in the cards, but for the numbers chicks, I'm interested to know if you guys have experience this year as an 8-year. Well, and bearing in mind we're going into a 9-year.
Well, okay, so what's interesting is the thought that was going through my mind when Kylie was saying about the letting go, right? Like purge what you don't need. That's what that 8 is. The 8s hold on to everything, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of that. The past, the present, everything. And it really is, I mean, look, you guys know me more personal than what we share on the podcast, but I know for me, it just feels like this huge purging that has taken place that I had no idea was taking place literally until last night. And we're going to talk about that soon. But that letting go, but really letting go what doesn't serve you. Allow it to just go, because we want to hold on to the idea of things. And some ideas are great. Some you just got to let them go. And it's about deciding what stays, what goes. Really sit there and be very conscious what stays and what goes. Doesn't mean it's easy. And I am not claiming that it's easy. I will be the first one to cry. But sometimes you just have to put on your big girl panties, right? Soldier up with Archangel Michael and be like, we just got to do it. And so
plus a 9 year is going to bring all the discernment anyway. So that'll happen exponentially. Right. How do you reckon everyone's gone with actual embodiment of themselves? Like for myself, I wouldn't say that I'm embodied, but I can see that I've made progress this year, more progress than I've done for a long time. Does everybody else feel the same way?
I think it's progress with ease as well, as versus like these catastrophic trauma events and having them over and over and over again to learn the lesson, just to have like either one major one or to like, you know what? Yeah, I'm at my rock bottom, but you know what? Let's go. I'm not going to sit here in this.
And it also feels like things that have come up, it's like, you're not going to repeat that again. That's done. Like things are done. Like Yana said, like it's like the letting go. It's like the ending of a lot of things, I feel. And with the eights too, we talk about boundaries and not sacrificing yourself. So I do feel as though that's been a bit of a theme this year with people I've spoken to, of like, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm going to let them focus on their stuff, and I'm going to focus on me,
Let them deal with their monkey.
Yes.
Yes, and so then we know the 8 leads into the 9, and that 9, which is 2025, that 9 year is all about your personal power, right? Claim your power. No longer be disempowered. Step into your power. And it's interesting because I was listening to something earlier today, and it was about the 9s, and essentially what they were saying was that the 9s aren't here to settle for mediocre. The 9s are here to get the best job possible for them, the best relationship possible for them, the best whatever, fill in the blank for them. The 9s don't settle. The 9s are like, I want whatever's at the top over there. And it's about, right? And if we're talking about stepping into that empowerment, well, 2025 is your year. And I'm assuming the cards are going to reflect, this is your year to step up and get the thing that claim your thing. Claim it. I'm ready to claim.
Really claim.
I couldn't tell.
That's good. Extra passionate.
But you know what?
Today. Delicious.
I think that 9 energies as well that we're talking about next year, I think that when we really do step into our truth and step into our power, that's what brings peace. I think that peace often eludes us when we don't step into or step up. That's where we're at, in constant battle. And so 9s can be that, because 9s are the peacemaking energies. So they're not always just the out there blowing the fire and everything like that. I think they're the kind of stuff that burns. 9 is that year is the worst sign of the year, that burns away all the crap, all the stuff, all the struggle, okay, in order to take you where you need to be, wherever it is, top of the mountain, wherever it is you need to be. And then that is where, sometimes, it's like when you get up, I don't really go climbing mountains or climbing hills and things like that. I'm not really one of those kind of people, right? But, sometimes when you get up and it's such a beautiful view, or, you go up in like a building and it's such a beautiful view, that's what I think that energy gives you. So I'm wondering if 2025 is going to give us that beautiful view.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
And Kylie, you mentioned dragons. You mentioned dragons. 9s are dragons, so that's next year.
Correct.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
But they're also warm. It's also warm, and it's generous, and it's creative.
Nurturing.
I'm looking
very nurturing energy. It is very loving energy.
Unstoppable energy.
Yeah, dragons are asking for us to see them differently. Everybody just puts out this whole idea about dragons that just go around burning people to a crisp. Do you know what I mean? But but they're asking, because the dragons are coming back. They are coming back. And so it's asking for us to actually see them in a different light, because they're not just coming to toast your village. Do you know what I mean?
Isn't that interesting though? Because Kylie mentioned Lilith and the sort of perception or the way things have been portrayed. And you can say that also about dragons. So the feeling that I'm getting with everything that's been said also is that, we all have the opportunity to see lots of things in new ways, where before perhaps we dismiss them to be in that category over there. And maybe that speaks to, this, coming together that Kylie's talking about.
You guys hit the nail on the head with the theme for 25. So 25 is like, I literally got blinders are off. People aren't taking the bullshit anymore. They just want truth. They want justice. They want peace. People are like, I see a lot of people are getting help for themselves. Like people are realizing, hey, this is not, my behavior is not right. I'm going to seek out therapy, self-help. Like it's kind of like accountability. It is that awakening of what smoke screen am I being exposed to today that I get to look past.
Yeah.
And I have to say a really quick funny story. So with the dragons, I was at Moana 2 last night watching it. Riveting movie. Highly recommend. But they had How to Train Your Dragon preview for next year.
Yeah.
And the scene was they were all in the village killing dragons, but the dragon dude, I don't know what he was, the dude was like, I can't kill you. So the dragon opened his eyes, he turned and put his hand out, and the dragon came and met him with his forehead. And I'm like sitting in there going,
correct. Yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
At the dragon, and the kids are like, Mom, the movie hasn't even started yet. And I'm like, but that was so touching, you know? And I'm like, that is so, and it's how ironic that's coming out next year. Anyway.
Yeah. And so you see, look at that. How to Train Your Dragons coming out next year.
There you go. And I think it's already.
Is that like a remake of the animation?
It's a remake. It's like one of
those. Yeah.
Live...
So I've seen all of the animations. Like
there you go. Well, this is a new version.
Yeah, but I've seen that moment, right? And I know it's just like tears.
You know that is that moment in the cartoon? Because I have never watched it, so I was like having a moment, like what the hell? But anyway, I'm like, you don't understand. Okay. So now we've talked about 25. Let's end the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Do you want to get into it now?
Yeah.
Juicy stuff coming up in the months. I'm telling you now.
Just tell us to stop talking and you just go.
Yeah.
Okay. Start with January. January is Ace of Pentacles. Now, money. Okay. Ooh. And let me tell you what the energy was around this. Okay. We have a very strong economy based on the Trump factor. Okay. People are putting all their eggs in the Trump basket. Trump will be our savior. The petrol gas prices will change. This will affect the world economy. This will be a great month for that. Okay. But let me just tell you, it's probably only going to be that month that is going to be as prosperous as we're thinking it should be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We pick up what I'm putting down. It's the Trump effect. It's temporary. Temporary.
But
I'm not here for I'm a true centrist. I believe both parties. I'm not biased, even though I'm so glad Biden's out. But I'm just saying, just the figurehead, not the party, the figurehead. I'm just saying, but there is a huge Trump effect going into play. January. Okay. So if you are wanting to sell a home, if you're wanting to buy a vehicle, if you're wanting to do anything like that, January is an excellent month for that. Okay, February. February. Did you like how I just slid into February?
Yeah.
9 of Cups. Okay. 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups is a hangover from January. So it's a lot of good vibes. That's the energy I'm getting. It's a lot of everyone's optimistic. I see a bit of a lull in a global sense of not a lot going on. Everyone's kind of just coasting along. I do see financial markets being slightly affected in various ways around the world, but everything will start to kind of equal out in February. Okay, so I know Australian dollar took a dump. It'll start to equal out a little bit heading into February. Okay. Any thoughts? We're going on to March.
I do think next year there's going to be a massive restructuring in the financial system.
Yes. Get into that, Amanda. Get into that. Giving a spoiler. Spoiler.
Okay.
Yes.
Keep my mouth.
That's
nice.
okay. That's okay. So it's funny because the financial system, I see some markets crashing in countries, financial structures crashing, not so much economics in a general sense, but I don't see when that will happen because there are certain things that are at play that will happen next year, but I don't know when. And I'm being told that on purpose. We're not meant to know. But there is going to be a huge shift towards renewable energy, but it's going to be an abuse of power. There's a huge abuse of power with renewable energy. A lot of people are tapping into economics to fund it, to pad their $1 million houses, multiple $1 million of houses. It's not being funneled into the right things. Sorry. So anyway. Okay. March. March is when the wheels start falling off the bus a little bit. So March is 8 of Cups. So at this point, we've got a lot of cups filling with a lot of good things, a lot of things that we think are good for us. In a global sense, there's a lot of money. Rich people are getting richer. Middle class is probably going to see a bit of windfall from January, February. Is that sustainable? No. So March is when I start to see a little bit of shift in the economics. And I don't mean to be negative because I think at the end of the day, we are aware that things change and circumstances come to light. But there is something and I haven't looked up the planetary alignments for March, if there is a moon or something significant coming in March, but there is an opportunity for us to reevaluate what we're filling our cups with. Okay. Are we wanting to fill it with money? Are we wanting to fill it with health? Are we wanting to fill it with love? Focus on not 8 things, but focus on a smaller amount that you feel really passionate about so that you have less things that can overfill. There's too much going on at the moment in March.
Wait,
Do
what?
I need to pull down my shirt? Like, what's going on here? Like, we're all so serious.
I'm just sitting here like nobody's interested in hearing what I've got going on in March. But, that's what I'm listening to your words. And I'm thinking, boy, it would have been helpful if I watched the news in the last 18 months before this episode as well, because I really don't know what's going on. So I'm just thinking about myself and I'm just trying to contextualize what I think is going to be happening in March with what you're saying.
No, and you know what? I don't mean to take it
very easy and digestible.
I don't want to take it political. It's just the energy. The energy is in such a shift next year. Like there is shedding of outer layers of energy. And things are coming to us that haven't come to us in a long time, like that dragon energy, certain starseed energy that has been out in the cosmos for certain lifetimes that haven't been able to penetrate through our energy shell. So with that, it affects us on an individual cellular level all the way up to, global. So I'm trying to find that balance of take from this what you need to take, but I can't deny the energy that's coming through the cards.
Wow.
Big year. Okay. April. You know what's interesting about April, to shifting the energy a little bit, I got 6 of Swords. And for May, what is up with my throat? Queen of Cups. Now, I'm going to hold these 2 up. These are really interesting energies because this has got royal all over this. So I'm like getting out my page 6, my Woman's Weekly. What's going on with the royal family?
Oh.
I'm like, because this is Princess Kate, right? In March. And in April, we've got Queen Kate. So what is kind of going on with, and I just got shivers, something, and it might not be the it might even not even be the British, or it might even be like the Swedish. It might be whatever, something royal, but there is going to be a change.
Yeah, I guess I have heard that, that apparently Charles is going to hand over the throne. I don't think he's going to pop off, but I think he's going to hand over the apparently I've heard, but hand over the reins to William. But who knows?
At the end of the day. But
Can I just sidetrack just for a second? As someone, Amanda, who lives in London, right? Like, what is it like for you? Like, I don't have a royal family in the States, right? There's no royal family. I got a president, but like,
right.
What is it like actually living there? Like, do you even like, and I mean this with all due respect, like give a shit? Are you just like, but do you know what I'm saying? Okay, all right.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm not a royalist at all. Can't be. And for the one, I don't want to get a sausage thrown at me. So but those who knows me will know probably why. Kind of like, anyway. So but I'm just not. I just, nobody, but this younger generation, they don't really give two flying toenails.
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
About the royal family.
Is it relevant anymore?
Don't. Yeah. Then that's how a lot of them feel. They don't care unless it's like, I suppose, something's wild happening, but they actually don't care for it. They're not going to go out and stand out in the cold, watching this or watching that. What you get is the very young, and then you get sort of like, I suppose maybe my generation or older will be out there, in the cold, standing up, waiting. The very young are out there because the mothers have taken them there or the fathers have taken them there. Do you know what I mean? They haven't gone there by themselves, but sort of do you know what I mean? So, but my kids' generation, they're not interested at all. And if left to them, we wouldn't have a royal family because they just don't really see the purpose of what it all serves and everything like that, especially with what happened in the year and last year with one of them. Do you know what I mean? And so it's just...
But that really speaks to, doesn't it, that whole energy of like, just because something exists doesn't mean I believe it to be true or meaningful, that we were speaking about before, where people are just like, well, I'm not going to follow this just because I'm meant to, It's that really, it's like a wave that's come in with the new generations almost, but there's definitely like a more celestial astrological shift right now.
Yeah.
But maybe we've hit a critical mass with them. I don't know.
Probably, yeah, I think we have. And like how many, because, anyway, but do you know how many Londoners or how many people have never been to sort of like Buckingham Palace? We, go past there in the bus, or you might go past there, whatever, and you just like, it's like, okay, yeah. I've not been to any of those kind of things. But I love London. I really don't want to move out of London. I love London, but I've never really been to Buckingham Palace and all of that type of stuff and whatever. I'm just not fussed about it. It's just not. Yeah, stop putting food on my table.
Amen. Amen.
So yeah, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more stuff. There's a lot more darker stuff. So I don't. Yeah.
Sausages. Kind of when you said April and May was bringing in this royal factor, I was like, well, of course, because 3 of us on this panel are born in April and May. So of course, right? That's where you really meant to go.
Sorry, I totally misjudged that.
You're missing the queens in the room, lady.
I am.
I should have added that. Yeah, you're right, actually, because my family on my dad's side, where we were the original royal family of where my dad came from. His mum held the throne. Because the throne came down, so my grandmother did, because the throne came down, what's it called? The matriarchal side. Yeah, the maternal side, it was handed. So in a sense, our royal heritage, the royalty runs through the women. So the women run kind of like everything. The men have this place, but it's almost as if, they're sort of like, it's like what do you say? It's sort of like a it's in a way, it's not like a patsy, but it's sort of like they're just given that to make them, make them feel like Billy
fragile ego. They're fragile.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But it's so but but the throne is handed down to the women.
Which
So
is interesting because the cards, both of the cards, had the female on there, right? I mean, I know nothing about tarot, okay? So I don't even remember what the cards were, but they were the two females. And so I wonder if too, is there a connection with the female, the divine feminine kind of leveling
up?
Leveling up.
Yeah. Yes. That sounds very, very plausible, that the divine feminine comes to the forefront. What that's going to look like, though, I don't know, because I can't see any sort of, even if it's in, say, politics, I can't see any sort of like feminine aspect because like that looks like that they're carrying any sort of, I think there's going to be a lot of changes, but those changes means that, it's going to 2025 might also feel like that kind of year whereby, there's going to be a lot of settling in. So things might not look so great, but we're in that period of shift, we're in that period of change, and it's never pretty and it's never comfortable. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's what is happening, but we have to clear out in order to bring in. And so, yeah, but I do think it's that nurturing energy that you're talking about, because you're talking about that sort of nurturing, that sort of like loving, nurturing, divine feminine principle that's coming in. So, but very strong as well, when you have that kind of strong energy.
And I feel like it's gonna be, you're not gonna see it on a big scale because it's gonna start with each one of us individually. It's a personal thing. It's a personal shift. And those eights need you to give that self-love, need you to prioritize yourself and what you need and what's going to help you get that next thing. And so I think when we take a step back and a bird's eye view, you can see it from people individually across the board. I don't think there's going to be one female, maybe there is, I don't know, one female that comes up and kind of shakes things up. But I think it's an individual thing that happens that shifts the energy. I'm here for it. Let's go. All right. What do we got for June?
Okay. So June and July are very intertwined. And it is Knight of Cups and 10 of Wands. I'm just going to hold up because it's back to that female energy again. So what I want to share with this, okay, we are gearing up towards having a new leader in around the second half of the year. Now, when I say leader, we're coming into that feminine. There's definitely I'm not saying there is a world leader. It might be in a symbolic sense, but there is a new shift coming in, and it's preparing in June and July. Okay. So it's coming into the second part of the year as a collective. Now, what we have to be careful of, I do see a lot of divine feminine coming up this year. However, we get to discern between the feminine being guided by a man behind the scenes or a true female leader. Because I see the beginning around the royalty stuff about it still being, while it's a female figurehead and we're all excited, it truly is not. There's complete smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, so, that's what I would have said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's smoke and mirrors. So I don't know. This year is a weird year in that sense. I don't know if we will get our true divine feminine this year, or if we get to use our discernment to figure out between the two for 26. Because there is a lot of confusion, right? If we look at, and I don't want to bring up freaking Jay-Z and Beyonce again, but I'm just going to get going there, okay? Don't sausage me, okay? So Beyonce, we were like Queen Bee for so many years, right? She was the reigning pop queen of everything, right? And then we hear now that the Diddy thing comes out, we're like, how much of Jay-Z was behind this? I'm just saying, who built her? I'm just saying. did she really get there on her own coattail? I'm just saying. Don't sausage me, Yana. I'm just saying.
I don't ever want to censor you, ever.
So, thank you.
It out.
Wow, how come she didn't get those sausages, eggs, and beans?
Oh,
I got sausages.
I was just saying the thing that Kylie can say the thing, but I was just embodying Kylie.
Feminine. Okay. No, but seriously, so it's going to be that balancing act of next year, right? And it is correct. I don't know who said was it Lauren? I'm looking at Lauren. We got to get through kind of the heavier stuff, the figuring out stuff before we can, or maybe it was Amanda and then we can get through to the good shit. We got to get through the bad stuff before we can and some of it will be up and down. Some of it will look like it's a glorious win. In actual fact, it's not. Because, okay.
Can I just ask something? It's interesting because when you were just speaking, to me, it's kind of like, I feel like the last few years, obviously, were really hard for a lot of people. Like, people have been through so much stuff. To me, that all feels very muddy. Like, I can't move through it it's very stuck energy. And what I'm hearing really about next year is that still going to be challenges, but it's kind of like there's more, actual fluidity to it rather than being stuck in the mud. So it's not that next year is all roses, because I can't smell any roses right now, but it's like we're able to see that we're going to get to where we want to go. So there's like a little bit more hope in it.
Exactly, because I think that we are taking accountability. Like, we're not just going to take everything at face value. My life sucks because this happened. I think that we're actually able now to take a step, even if it's a tiny little step back, and go, this is temporary and we're going to move through this. And if I don't know the answer, it's okay, because I'm just going to put a foot forward and just take everything at each second value. And I think as before, we would go into that victim mentality.
Yeah. Whereas now it's like, it's been difficult for such long. I've got to be my own hero.
Exactly.
In a way. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we're also coming back to like that whole, like when I was in Australia recently, I was shocked to see how many domestic violence posters there were around and things on the radio and on the TV. And I'm like, why is this necessary? And then I'm hearing children who are in this space who are learning, and it's like an unlearning of what they grew up with and an unlearning of what they grew up with. And it's like this filtering of generations down to being a better, like, problem solver for themselves, their own hero, and like we're as a society taking accountability for the next generation to be better than what we were, versus it's your problem now, if that makes sense. It was very long-winded. Thanks for hanging in there. All right. August, because we got through. Okay. August is a new leader, and that's what I was leading up to. There is a judgment coming around August, and it's going to be a judgment around, are we taking this new energy, this new leader, this newness, this new authority, this new thing? And I'm not saying person specifically, but there is a new energy around that awakening. Not this is going to be the month that we're going to be like, okay, so what if there are drones in the sky? I'm still want to find reputable news sources to tell me what else is going on. What are we not being told? We're not going to get into this. I want to know what we're being hidden from. And that's the theme that's coming in for that second part of the year. Okay. I don't want to beat that horse anymore, but that's, yeah. Okay. What are we up to? September. Okay. So the interesting thing about September is the Fool card. Okay, it's another major arcana card. It is a destiny month, September. What's interesting about this one, and I had to laugh when Archangel Michael was kind of giving me the description, because I ran with it. He's like, people are going to think that you're foolish because you're choosing to put your head in the sand and go run in a field of daisies and not give a shit. But that's exactly what the awakened people will do.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So everyone around you is like, why do you not care that the world's on fire? And we're going to be like, because I'm dancing with my daisies and I don't care, and that's where we will be in September. So I'll meet you in the field of daisies.
I will say, like, and I think even this year that shift started. And I'll say even for me personally, I remember in 2020, you're reading all the time. You're watching everything. I was in constant consumption of every shit thing that was happening. And then I remember this was at least 2 years ago. I was like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't care. I'm not looking at it. I understand what's happening. I'm not consuming it to where it's the only thing playing out in my life. And so I know for me personally, I shut it down to the point when I need to be involved, I'll be involved. Anything outside of that, I don't care. Doesn't exist to me. I'm going to focus on the beauty of things. And I remember people even saying to me, well, you should be more well-informed. And I'm like, I am well-informed. I don't need to like digest this shit every day, all day. I did that. And you know what? It put me in like this tailspin, and you have fears that come up, and it's never anything 100%. Positive. So why would I still sit in that space?
100%.
And you do see some people who are still stuck there, and you're like, man, like that's the space I was in. Mm-hmm. It really puts it into perspective, and you're like, no, I'll go in my daisies every day. Let me run in those daisies.
And where are they getting that information from? They're getting it from a major news outlet that's clearly biased. So they're just basically absorbing a one-sided, anyway. Get angry about that's daisies.
Right, you'll hear me say, like, what are you surrounding yourself with? Like, imagine driving in the car for half an hour every day and you're listening to all the news, or drive for half an hour and listen to our podcast or an audiobook or some uplifting music or whatever. Like, where's your mood going to be? And that goes through your whole field and into the field of everyone around you, right? So what are you surrounding yourself with? Be conscious.
Yeah, the podcast was a good one.
The podcast was a good one.
You could have just
listen to us every day.
Hit subscribe.
I love it.
I agree with that one. Sorry?
Was that September?
That was September.
Okay.
September. So I agree with that one because, funny enough, that just before I came on, my son had just come into the kitchen and he had said, Mum, do you hear about that? Something in the news. And I said, no, what? No, I've not heard about that. And then my husband goes, it's because she doesn't watch the news. And I said, I don't have to watch the news. And so he goes, yeah, well, that's why you're asking questions. I said, I'd never asked a question. I said, he came in and he said something, he asked me a question if I'd heard about it. And I said, no. I said, I don't need to watch the news. Is there anything that I need to know? Well, we've been through this conversation for I stopped watching the news or even reading newspapers in 2000.
Oh,
2000.
24
years ago. Yeah. So if you catch me watching the news, it's because, it's on the telly and it's watching it. But we will often get into it about, I don't want to watch the news. That would be me. I don't want to watch the news. I don't want to watch the news. Do you know what I mean? Why is the news on the television? And I'm not going to bed watching the news either, and stuff like that. Because my fight is, whose news is it? Whose news is it? It's a bunch of like head honchos who decide on what the news is and what they're going to present to the public. And then when they do all of that dastardly work, they then tell you about Popo the panda is given birth in captivity, and so it's just, for me, it's, and all the stuff, it's just programming and messing with my head. So like you said, in that year, 2020, I was like, it wasn't news, but, there was like a group whereby, you could get a lot of information on, and I was waking up every morning and reading this information and watching it. Oh my God. And it was shaking my system so badly. I didn't realize how much I was being affected until I got to a point where I realized that this doesn't make me feel good. In fact, this makes me feel quite ill. And so I just muted it. And I just said, if I want to know, then I'll know. And if I don't want to know, then I don't have to know. I had a friend who was going to bed every night and she had to watch the news before she went to bed so that she could know how many people they're saying had died. I said, why would you do that? You're going into your sleep with it. She goes, I just have to know. And I said, you really got to think about that. I said, why would you take that into your sleep? I said, what can you do about all these people? She says, nothing. Yeah. I said, so, she goes, I know, and I don't feel good because it makes me feel really bad. I said, so stop. So stop doing it.
Yep.
And And she did. And after a while, she realized, just how dumb it was. Do you know what I mean? All of that. We're not getting, I mean, I know I'm going off topic here, but we're not getting the real news. We're getting who everybody else decides what is the news. When Boris brought in the Boris bikes, yeah, that was when we found out, or that was when it was like all over the news now, how many people were dying, or how many cyclists were dying in road accidents. And they brought it in as if it was just happening. But when you went back and you started Googling and looking, my God, so many people have been dying. Cyclists have been dying in road accidents. Nobody's ever published it. Nobody's ever talked about it until there was one big accident somewhere, and it was all tied in with the whole Boris bikes, because they were going to start bringing in all these. Boris bikes are these. I don't know if you know about them. The Boris bikes are, whereby they're now providing the public with bikes to get around,
and you just pay
for it with your card. And you know what I mean. So he was the one apparently who brought them in. But before that, people were all dying. Anyway, cyclists were dying. The roads are very dangerous and things like that. But you didn't even know that. I never even knew cyclists were dying.
Well, listen, I'm going to out myself here. And Kylie, you can't say sausage, and I'm going to make it quick. In 2020, it was the end of 2020. Me and my husband at the time are sitting here going, this is insane. Because I got there way before he did. And he was like, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm like, no, I need you to pay attention. Long story short, we were so tired of seeing these stupid numbers. And, this is not against anybody who passed away during that time, okay?
Yeah, because people did lose people.
Yes,
people did die.
100%. I lost my grandmother. So I understand that. But we were like, they're making it seem like people are dying like flies down the street. So we looked at the number of, it was towards the end, I don't know if it was November or whatever, of the people in 2020 who had passed away already. And every day you'd see on the screen how many people had died. And what we did was we were sitting in my bed and we pulled up the US deaths in 2019, 2018, 2017. I think that's as far back as we were able to go. Because we're like, if there's all these deaths, there should be this huge spike already.
Spike, yeah.
There was no spike.
Like,
the numbers were consistent with every other year. Wow. And then you find out after the fact that most of those deaths that were considered COVID deaths were really because of other factors.
Other factors, correct.
Mm-hmm. And we oh man, it was one of those like, that
aha moments.
Oh yeah, like that pissed me off. And then that's when we were like, I'm done. I am not playing this game anymore. It's not happening. Because it's all lies. It's all what
it's fear.
They want to
put being controlled by fear.
100%.
And now we're looking at like CDC release yesterday that we've got like a warning against the bird flu. CDC's like, oh, we've got our first, and no one's like, we don't care anymore. But have you noticed that? No one cares, right? Anyway.
Okay.
I didn't sausage you. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to finish this up because the last like October, November, December, what is this going out of focus for? Okay, it's good. Let's have to threaten it. It is a really interesting 3 months. Okay. So we are taking in all of the year that theme of like fake like the smoke and mirror feminine, divine feminine energy. Is this really feminine energy coming through? Are we seeing the real picture here? What are we being told that's being hidden, right? We are now in our days in our field of daisies, but now we get to decide whether we are staying in the field of daisies or if we're coming out of the field of daisies. So that is the energy as a collective for October, November, December. Okay, so hold up. Okay, so we've got just a lot of, what is this here? Wands, swords, and swords again. So that swords is like that protection, right? So we're going from, we've got our two swords, right? So we've got it from a divine feminine. We've got one sword in divine feminine and one in our power. Okay, this is November and December. Okay. So now our swords that we are using for protection that are within us and now becoming symbolic for one and the other. Okay. It's not a collective anymore. It's I have my divine feminine and my truth. And I have my divine feminine. Now I have my truth. Right. And you get to choose whether you're using them in each hand or if you're just going to throw them and get out of the field of daisies and keep drinking the Kool-Aid. Also, December, I see a lot of travel as a collective. So I don't know if they're going to impose another lockdown, a self-imposed lockdown, something along those lines. But I see December being a very free, sudden freedom travel month.
Oh, so you mean a lockdown before that happens and then
before that happens.
And then people will start traveling.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just feel like that there might be something around being prevented to travel. A lot of travel advisories.
No, I want to go on holiday next year.
I know.
Go on holiday this
Look,
year.
You will go. You will go. You will go. It's one of those weird like threats. You know what I mean? Like, and the people that are drinking the Kool-Aid, there is a lot of like half of the population out there is still drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, but there is a lot of travel advisories out there. There's one for Italy because the Vatican's opening up and then they're doing their Jubilee.
So you're not allowed to go Italy?
You know, yeah, the US said travel advisory for Rome, Vatican, and Italy because of the Jubilee that's happening in 25. Why is that? Why are they saying you shouldn't travel? Because of fear of larger groups and a terror attack. I'm like, bitch, that's not going to prevent me from traveling. If it's my time, it's my time.
You better stop. It will not be your time. We need you here.
No. Would I be caught around the Pope? Just saying. My Orthodox God is going to come down and strike me with a bottle of Schliever.
Hold on, Rachel, I can't hear you, honey. I could see you were talking, but I can't hear you.
Oh. No.
And so while you figure that out.
That's because I was muted. And what I was saying is there's a lot of reasons that, that can affect travel. Like it can just be volcanoes and stuff like this. Then there's volcanic ash and all of a sudden no one can fly for 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be another pandemic.
It can be lots of things.
Yeah.
No.
There can be lots of things. There could be some sort of aircraft safety thing and all the Boeing jets get grounded. Who knows?
And all the war energy is still there. So
basically 2025 is full of jollies.
Daisies. Fields of daisies.
Well, it feels like
to choose your perspective.
Well, that's the thing. So you talked a lot about that personal power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to fall? And I think this is something that we've been actively working on for the last couple of years. And now it's like, really, where are you going to fall?
It's actions now.
Yeah.
It's not just the talk. And that's why when we've done our rods and we've had some really interesting things come out of it that we haven't felt comfortable airing, is because now is not the time, because everyone's still figuring out where they're falling. And if you push too hard, you're going to push over into the tinfoil hat category. We need people to kind of meet us in our energy sense, and then we can have those open discussions. You know what I mean? You don't want to let all your crazies out on the first date or second. Leave that for the third.
No, I feel like you got to lead with the tinfoil hat.
Really?
Oh, you guys are so funny.
Hat.
Oh
yeah,
like
no, right off the bat, like
I love a good non-stick tinfoil hat.
Teflon. Would you seriously go on a date with like the drones are aliens? Would you lead with that?
I wouldn't lead. Listen, maybe just to open the conversation.
Okay.
Let's soften the mood. Let's get funny. Let's get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, if I'm on a date and this guy is like, "Did you see the latest conspiracy?" I'm like, "Love me." Like, yes.
Yes, I will marry you.
Wait.
I know, but you got to lube up a little bit before the second date a little bit.
Listen, it's like then I know we're on the same page. you know, like we're good. So, yeah, I can't hold back, Kylie. I am who I am, good or bad. I am who I am.
I know.
Yeah, that's me. I kind of like think, but I am aware though of whether or not. I think it's important to meet people where they are. So I am aware, you know, yeah. And so I think all of us are really aware that, you know, that sometimes people need time to digest things, you know what I mean? So you just got to kind of like, you know, you got to, I don't know, maybe meter it out before you hit them with the whole roll of foil, you know, just tear off a little strip, you know.
You know, it's funny because regardless of which side of the aisle you sit on with the tin foil, okay, you're either wearing one or you're not. People, I have noticed, will absolutely test the waters, and they'll make one just very simple comment just to see, are you going to pick it? Are you going to pick up what I put down, or are you not even going there? And then they know, you know. And I find myself in those situations where I see now so many people that I never thought I would have that conversation with. And I see them because they don't want to be the ones to bring it up, but they'll drop the penny and they're waiting for me to pick it up. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you're giving it to, you're offering it, so let's go.
I'm giving you the whole quarter now.
Totally. But I think that is what's helping people shift. You don't have to drink all the Kool-Aid. You don't have to believe every single thing you hear. But once you become open to it and you make your own judgments and you really sit there and go, what feels right for me? That's when you start shifting that energy. And as we know, everything is osmosis. It trickles off to everybody else. And this is how we are getting this huge, beautiful awakening that's taken place. Okay. And so 2025, bring in the self-empowerment, bring in all, whatever comes our way. If we just stand in our personal power, right? There shouldn't be anything that we can't withstand.
That's right. Go into your field of daisies. Be your own fool.
Yeah. Can it just be a beach?
But you see, can just be a beach.
Yeah. Amanda, I'll meet you at the beach.
Me too. I was wondering, can't 2025 just be about the fact that I don't want to have to be trying to talk about the truth anymore? It just is. And we're just having a conversation. Do you know what I mean?
People will meet you there.
Yeah. I feel like that will happen a bit more.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we're moving to, you know, from being a petrol vehicle to an electric vehicle. Like, I don't know, like it feels, do you know what I mean? No, like in terms of... Are you
guys up for electric vehicles? I don't know.
Oh, let's not... well, okay, let's talk about that conceptually rather than, rather than starting on that. But in terms of what is fueling us, right? And how we operate.
Yeah. It's time to level up.
That's right.
Diesel all the way.
Yeah.
What did you say? Diesel. Oh my goodness. All right. This has turned into a whole different discussion. Sorry for the analogy.
I've just learned so much about you, Amanda, just with one word.
More miles to the gallon.
Oh, that's where you go. I'm like big honking like truck.
No, we have normal cars that have diesel and stuff like that, but they've now kind of like you made them like sort of like they're not ULEZ compliant. So, you know, you got to spend extra money to drive them a day in cars. So lots of people had to get rid of their cars, and so they've brought in, but they don't even have the infrastructure for the electric cars that they want to bring in.
Yeah,
so it's kind of dumb and it's kind of stupid and it kind of pisses you right the hell off. Because it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I had a friend who broke down once. No, his car was running out of electricity. It was a hybrid car and he had to drive. Right. So when he found the petrol station that could, because you know that there are different petrol pumps for different electric cars. So you can't just, not because you've got an electric car and that's an electric pump, you can go there and charge your car. You can't, because it's not for your car. So you have to go to the right one that's for your car. So he had to find the right petrol station on the motorway and sit down there for nearly 8 hours because it was one of those slow kind of things. But he was waiting for the damn thing to charge. What the hell? He didn't get home until stupid.
He needs to move to America.
Stupid o'clock in the morning. That's right.
Yeah.
America has all... Listen, don't get me started because we just brought a Tesla, okay? We're fancy.
Yeah, okay. So we can
coming
agree
for
the
you,
infrastructure isn't there to support it. Okay, but like, let's move on. Sorry for the analogy. I totally got this podcast off track.
Okay, Kylie, wrap
Yes.
us up in one sentence.
I am done. Oh, sorry. Okay, 25. Okay. Is that what you wanted?
Like
No.
one.
2025. Cleo, that psychic lady. Cleo, I need my ball. It's going to be, listen, I'm sorry it wasn't, we were very serious in the beginning of this podcast and we were like, oh shit. But it is not going to be this big warm and fuzzy year because this is a year of action. It's a year of taking the blinders off. It's a year about being your authentic self. And I hate those wishy-washy like, oh, it's going to be a part of leveling up. And it sounds so generic, but we're going to be given an opportunity to really level up, not on a personal level, but as a collective, in a government sense, an economic sense. That's it.
Love it. Okay. We're pinning it, wrapping it with a bow. Thank you, Kylie. That's wildly impressive. I could never do that. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Thank you.
Yana.
Yes.
Yana, can I read something?
Yes.
Well, well, I feel like it relates, and it just happens to be sitting on my desk. So, you know,
as you do,
I
as you
can't
do, you
wait.
just have it like just a poem, just sitting there.
I love it.
Yes, I do. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. When it all comes crumbling down, when the cracks at their finest suddenly explode, when the world comes crashing down and it is all you can do not to drown in the darkness, know that this is the time to rise. This is the time to heal. This is the time to begin. Begin you. Let all of the rest fall away, the hurt, the pain, the fears. Let them fall with your tears. Then burn. Be the light that shines the way through the darkness. Bring hope, bring love, bring forgiveness, bring you. Rise to the surface. Buckle up your courage and explode into the night. Paint the sky. Shimmer, shine, and sparkle. And watch as others join you there, lighting up the night sky. For we are all made of stars, and together we rise.
That was so
very relevant.
beautiful. My goodness. And you wrote that.
I did. I actually wrote it in 2019.
I was going to say, she did not write that. She wrote that like 100 years ago. And it's now relevant today.
You look wonderful for being that old.
No, I wrote it in 2019, but it's one of my favorite pieces because I feel like it's fairly timeless, but it felt like it matched the energy of what we've been speaking about. And it was sitting on my desk. So there you go.
Thank you for sharing that. That was so beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, everybody, this concludes our episode. Thank you for listening, for watching, for supporting, for just laughing along with us and taking in all the information. We appreciate you. And if you want to connect with anybody, go to yoursoulwisdomshow.com. We thank you for spending this time with us, and we hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.